She carried her disabled daughter in her arms to school every day until a human gave them both a future. Morning light on Carrie's. 9 never feels gentle. It comes thin and pale, filtered through refinery haze, settling on concrete and alloy instead of sky. Tier 3 East wakes under it slowly, reluctantly, like a body that knows the day will hurt. Laren steps out of her unit before the corridor lights fully brighten. She closes the door carefully, easing the latch so it doesn't click. Noise draws attention here, and attention always costs something. Her arms already ache. The pain sits deep in the muscles, old and familiar, flaring before the weight even returns to them. She exhales once, steadying herself, then bends and lifts her daughter. Amira's body is small and light for a child her age, light enough that the wrong people sometimes assume she should be easier to carry. Laren knows better. The weight settles against her chest and shoulder in a way her body has memorized. One arm slides under Amira's thighs. The other braces her back, fingers spreading flat so no pressure lands wrong. Amira presses her cheek into Laren's collarbone, skin warm through the thin fabric. Her white hair, too fine to stay neatly bound, slips free and brushes Laren's jaw. The ends tickle, but Laren doesn't shift. Every movement is calculated now. Amira's legs in just below the knees. The smooth green skin is wrapped in soft gray cloth, layered carefully, held by faded blue ties that have been washed so many times they barely hold color. Laren checks the wraps with her thumb without looking. Secure. No chafing overnight. Her dress clings to her as soon as she straightens. Amber fabric, thin, worn almost translucent in places, pulled snug by humidity. Patches darken the seams along her hips and waist. The neckline sits a little too low now, stretched from years of wear. A charcoal shawl hangs over one shoulder, not tied because tying it would slow her down. She does not bother adjusting it yet. The corridor smells of damp stone and old wiring. Pipes vibrate faintly inside the walls. Bare feet touch cold metal stairs. Laren takes them one at a time, careful not to jar Amira, careful not to favor her own shoulder too obviously. She has learned that favoring one side leads to weakness, and weakness shows. Outside, Tier 3 East breathes awake. Stalls heat up along the walkway. Thin cuts of spiced meat slap on a hot plates, fat popping sharply. Varan roots simmer in shallow pans, sharp brine cutting the air. Ferlin seed coffee pours thick and dark into metal cups. Steam mixes with dust and oil. Laren's stomach tightens at the smell. She registers it and moves on. Other parents merge into the flow toward the learning center. Boots, sandals, work shoes. Clean clothes from higher blocks, patched ones from lower. A few glance at her once. Some look again, eyes lingering on the way her dress grips her body, the bare skin of her shoulder where the shawl has slid. Their expressions shift when they notice the child. Pity, discomfort, calculation. Then they look away. No one offers help. They never do. Overhead, the transit rail hums. Sleek cars pass without slowing, glassless metal bodies gliding between towers. The line technically serves Tier 3. In practice, it rarely stops here. Laren walks anyway. Amira lifts her head as they near the long stretch of cracked ferrostone. Children run ahead, shoes slapping stone, laughter loose and unguarded. Amira watches their feet, not their faces. "Mama," she asks quietly, careful not to sound hopeful. "Can I walk after class today?" The question tightens something in Laren's chest. She keeps her voice even. "If your legs feel good and the bars are free." Amira nods, satisfied with the conditional answer. Her fingers curl into the fabric at Laren's collar. They reach the incline leading to the learning center gate. Laren adjusts her stride without breaking pace, avoiding the deepest cracks. The shawl slides lower with the movement, exposing more skin along her collarbone and upper chest. She feels it but ignores it. Covering herself would require shifting her grip. She would not risk that. The learning center rises ahead of them. Smooth walls, clean geometry, deliberately set apart from the tier it serves. Students funnel toward the entrance in small groups. Uniforms crisp, shoes clean. Here, Laren always feels watched. She keeps her chin lifted as she crosses the threshold. A child stares openly at Amira's wrapped legs until a parent nudges them forward. Another whispers something too low to hear. Laren does not react. Reacting invites escalation. Inside the vestibule, the floor changes texture. Smooth, predictable. She moves to the wall where a narrow bench runs beneath the windows. Here, she murmurs. She lowers Amira carefully, easing her down until the child's back rests against the wall. The moment the weight leaves her arms, pain rushes back in a sharp wave. Laren keeps her face neutral, jaw tight, until it passes. Amira looks up at her, smiling anyway. "I'll practice standing later," she says. "Teacher said I can if the room's quiet." "I know." Laren smooths her hair, fingers lingering a beat too long. "Listen when they tell you to rest." Amira nods and reaches for her walking bars, stacked neatly beside the wall. "Mama, yes, you'll be back." The words are simple. The fear behind them is not. "I always am," Laren says, because it is true, because it has to be. She waits until Amira wheels herself inside before turning away. Only then does she lean briefly against the cool stone pillar near the door. Her arms tremble. She breathes through it, steady, controlled. The shawl has slipped completely now, leaving one shoulder bare. She does not notice. Across the walkway, a man watches. Jasper Roran stands with a cup of Ferlin coffee in one hand, a data slate tucked against his side. His jacket is plain, worn at the seams, marked faintly with an old transit insignia. He stands balanced without thinking about it, weight centered, shoulders squared by habit. He is here because it is on his route. Officially, his job is transit flow analysis. He monitors movement patterns, adjusts schedules, writes reports no one reads unless something fails. Unofficially, he watches how people move through broken systems and notes where the strain shows. He has seen the green-skinned woman many mornings now. At first, she was a data point. Same time, same path, same load. Now he notices details he cannot unsee. The way her grip tightens halfway up the incline. The way her breathing changes just before the gate. The way she never sets the child down, not even to rest her arms. He sees the cloth-wrapped legs. He knows enough about adaptive gear to know what that means. He also knows what it costs. Jasper takes a sip of coffee. It grounds him. He tells himself this is not his problem. He has a job. He has metrics to deliver by midday. He does not intervene based on impulse. Then the woman leans against the pillar. It is brief. Most people would miss it. Jasper does not. Her posture falters just long enough to reveal strain. Her shoulder drops a fraction. Her free hand presses into the stone as if to absorb pain. When she straightens again, the movement is deliberate, practiced. Something tightens in Jasper's chest. Not pity. Pity distances. This feels closer to irritation, sharp and controlled. The system is working exactly as designed, and that bothers him. He watches her walk away, shawl slipping, amber dress clinging, empty arms held slightly away from her sides as if they still carry weight. He checks the time on his slate. His schedule allows flexibility. He has been meaning to review lower-tier stops anyway. He makes a note, changes tomorrow's route. Above them, the transit line hums past, silent and unreachable. On tier 3 East, Laren walks back toward her unit alone, shoulders tight, already calculating how long her arms will need to recover before afternoon. She does not know she has been noticed. She does not know that someone has decided to stop just watching and start acting. The afternoon heat settles low on tier 3 East, heavier than the morning, pressing dust and exhaust close to the ground. Laren leaves her unit with a small cloth sack tucked under her arm and the shawl drawn tighter this time. Not for modesty, but because the air has turned abrasive. Her muscles still throb from the morning carry. She flexes her fingers as she walks, testing the ache, measuring how much strength she has left. The market has thinned. Morning buyers are gone, replaced by workers killing time between shifts. A vendor scrapes the last brown meat from a hot plate, the smell sharp and greasy. Laren stops, counts the coins in her palm, then closes her fingers. Not today. She moves on. She feels anxious. The feeling presses at the base of her throat, familiar and unwelcome. It is always strongest in the hours between drop-off and pickup, when Amira is out of her reach. Laren keeps moving because stopping lets thoughts spiral. She checks the time against a cracked wall display. Still early. She has an errand first. The stairwell down to the maintenance level smells of damp metal. Water drips somewhere unseen. Laren descends carefully, bare feet placing with intent. Her knee twinges where she hit it last cycle. She ignores it. Pain is information, not a command. The storage unit she rents sits behind a rusted roll gate. Inside, it is dim and cool. She opens a crate and pulls out a narrow bundle wrapped in oilcloth. Walking bars. Lightweight alloy, scuffed but straight. She runs her fingers along them, checking for cracks. None. Good. Amira used to practice here before the bars were banned from the learning center floor. Too dangerous, they said. Too disruptive. Laren exhales through her nose and wraps the bars again. She slides them back into the crate and locks it. Tonight, maybe, if Amira has the energy. On the way back up, a gust of wind cuts through the stairwell. The shawl slips. She catches it with her elbow, adjusting without stopping. She emerges onto the main path, just as clouds roll in from the west. The light dulls. Thunder mutters somewhere above the industrial stacks. She quickens her pace. Rain hits hard and sudden. It slaps the Pharaoh stone, turning dust into slick paste in seconds. Laren swears under her breath and pulls the shawl over her head, trying to shield the sack. The fabric darkens, heavy with water. Her dress clings tighter as it soaks, the hem sticking to her thighs. She turns the corner toward the learning center, boots and sandals splashing past her. The air cools fast. Water runs into her eyes, stinging. At the stair landing near the gate, her foot slides a fraction. Her balance snaps tight. She corrects, breath sharp, heart jumping. She feels afraid. The thought is instant, physical. Amira, slippery stone, crowds. She shifts the sack higher and takes the next step carefully. Her heel slips again, this time farther. The world tilts. Laren drops her weight instinctively, one knee slamming into the edge of the stair. Pain flashes bright and hot. The sack slides from her arm and hits the stone with a dull clang. She goes down on one hand, palm scraping. Her shawl tears loose, sliding off her shoulder. Rain runs cold down her exposed skin. For a moment, she cannot move. Then a hand grips her elbow, firm and steady, stopping her from pitching forward. Don't fight it. A man's voice says close to her ear. Calm. Even. I've got you. Another hand steadies her shoulder. The contact is controlled, careful, not grabbing. It grounds her. Laren looks up, rain blurring her vision, and sees the man from the morning. The one with the coffee. His jacket is dark with water, hair plastered to his forehead. His jaw is set, eyes focused, scanning her quickly. I'm fine, she snaps, trying to pull away. You will be, he replies. Give me a second. She resents the certainty in his voice. She braces her palm against the stone and pushes. He eases his grip just enough to let her move without losing balance. Her knee screams. She swallows the sound, jaw clenching. I said I'm fine. I heard you, he says. I'm still standing here. She gets upright. Rain soaks her dress fully now, fabric clinging to her chest, the neckline pulled low by weight. She yanks the shawl back over her shoulder, cheeks burning. The sack lies where it fell. He bends first, picks it up, and hands it to her without comment. What are you doing here? She asks sharply. Walking my route, he says. Same as you. She snorts. Your route includes catching strangers on stairs. It does when the stairs are trying to kill someone. She turns away from him, testing her knee. It holds barely. She refuses to limp. He steps aside, not blocking her path. Stone slick by the second landing, he says. The drainage there backs up in storms. She hesitates. The information is useful. That bothers her. Thanks, she mutters, then starts toward the gate. He walks with her, matching her pace without crowding. They move through the rain side by side, not quite together. You hurt? He asks. No. He glances at her knee. Mud streaks the skin. She notices and tightens the shawl again. Your daughter, he says. You carry her every day. Her chest tightens. You've been watching. I've been noticing, he answers. There's a difference. She stops under the overhang by the entrance. Water pours off the edge in sheets. She turns on him, eyes sharp. What do you want? He meets her gaze without flinching. Right now? To make sure you don't try those stairs again on the way out. And after that, he pauses. Just a breath. After that, I want to talk to you about options you may not know you have. She laughs once brittle. If this is a pitch, save it. I don't sell time. I don't sell myself. And I don't take charity. His mouth tightens, but his voice stays level. Good. I'm not offering any of those. Inside, the doors open. Children spill out, guided by staff. The noise swells. Emira appears near the front, holding the rail with one hand, bars tucked under her arm. Her face lights up when she sees Laren. Then it falls when she sees the mud on her knee. Mama, what happened? Laren drops into a crouch despite the pain, pulling Emira close. I slipped. That's all. Emira's eyes flick to the man. She studies him openly. He helped, Laren says before she can stop herself. The admission tastes strange. Emira nods solemnly. Thank you. He crouches too, keeping distance. You did good today? He asks the child. Emira lifts her chin. I stood for 20 seconds. Next time, 30, he replies. Her eyes widen. Really? Really? Laren feels torn. Suspicion pulls one way, relief another. She helps Emira settle against her hip. The familiar weight returns, settling into her bones. I have to go, Laren says. I know, he replies. I'll walk on the outside, in case you slip. She considers telling him to leave. The rain pounds harder. Her knee throbs. Fine, she says, but you don't touch unless I say. He nods once. Understood. They move off together into the rain. The child held tight between them. The path slick and dangerous. The distance to home suddenly shorter with another set of eyes watching the ground. The rain follows them down tier 3 east like a low ceiling. It doesn't ease. It just settles into everything. Fabric, skin, breath. Water beads along the edge of Laren's shawl and drips onto Emira's wrapped legs, darkening the cloth. Laren adjusts her grip without stopping. Her knee pulses with each step, a dull ache that sharpens whenever she shifts her weight. She refuses to slow. Slowing invites help. Help invites questions. The man, Jasper, walks half a step to her outside, exactly as he said he would. He keeps his hands visible. His pace matches hers without crowding. When others pass too close, he angles his body, absorbing splashes meant for them. Emira notices. He's walking like a wall, she says softly, more observation than praise. Jasper glances down at her, surprised, then nods once. Walls don't get tired. That's not true, Emira replies. The old wall by the water line fell. Laren's lips press together. She expects him to laugh it off. He doesn't. Then it needed repairs, he says. Or someone should have lightened what it was holding. The words land heavier than the rain. Laren says nothing. They reach her building. A concrete block wedge between 2 maintenance ducts, paint peeling in long strips, a flickering light above the entrance. Water streams off the roof into a broken gutter that no one has fixed in years. Laren stops under the overhang. She feels conflicted. Her arm shakes slightly as she shifts Emira down. We're here, she says. Jasper doesn't move away. He doesn't step closer either. Can I check your knee? He asks. No. All right. He pauses. Then at least clean it. She stiffens. You don't tell me what to do. He nods again. You're right. I don't. Emira slides her walking bars from under her arm and braces them carefully against the wall. She looks up at her mother, eyes sharp. You're bleeding. Laren looks down. Mud streaks her knee. Red seeps through her skin split on the stone. She exhales, frustrated. Inside, they enter the corridor. It smells of wet concrete and rust. Laren lowers Emira onto the bench just inside her door, then fumbles for the latch. The unit opens into a single room, narrow, dim, warm from the small heater humming near the wall. A low cot, a thinner mat on the floor, a crate used as a table. a metal basin near the back with a cloth draped over it. Jasper stops at the threshold. "You don't have to come in," Laren says automatically. "I know," he replies. "I can wait here." She hesitates. Her knee throbs. Emira watches them both. "It's warmer inside," Emira says, "and the floor isn't slippery." Laren closes her eyes for a second, then steps aside. "Stay by the door." Jasper enters, careful not to drip water too far in. He removes his jacket, shakes it once, and hangs on a bent pipe by the door without asking. He rolls his sleeves up immediately after, slow, deliberate. Laren notices his forearms. Scarred. Old marks, faded, not fresh. Strength held without display. She kneels by the basin, hisses softly as pressure hits her knee, and reaches for a cloth. Jasper fills the basin from the tap without being asked. The water runs brown for a second, then clears. He kneels opposite her, not touching, just close enough to help if needed. Emira sits on the cot, legs dangling, watching intently. "Does it hurt a lot?" she asks. Laren forces a small smile. "Enough to remind me I'm still here." Jasper meets her eyes. "Let me pour." She considers refusing. Her hands shake slightly. She feels exposed, dress soaked, fabric clinging to her thighs and chest, neckline pulled low by weight and water. "Fine," she says. He tips the basin slowly. Water runs over the wound. Laren inhales sharply, fingers digging into the floor mat. The pain burns, then settles. He dabs gently with the cloth. Efficient. No unnecessary contact. "You carry her because the transit doesn't stop," he says quietly, not looking up. "Yes." "And the clinic?" Her jaw tightens. "Too expensive. For prosthetics. For everything." Silence stretches. The heater hums. Rain taps the metal outside. Emira breaks it. "Mama sells her hair sometimes." Laren snaps her gaze to her daughter. "Emira." Jasper's hand stills for a fraction of a second, then resumes. "That's not enough," he says carefully. "It is when you have no choice," Laren replies. Her voice is flat, defensive. He finishes cleaning the wound and sits back on his heels. "My name is Jasper. I didn't ask." "I know. A beat. I work transit analysis. Public sector. Lower tier routes." She scoffs. "That's a funny place for a hero." His mouth twitches. "I'm not one." Emira tilts her head. "Then why are you here?" Jasper looks at her, really looks. "Because things that are supposed to move don't," he says. "And people end up carrying what systems should." Laren feels something tighten in her chest. Anger. Recognition. Fear. "Don't make promises," she says. "I've heard them before." "I'm not promising," he replies. "I'm planning." She stands slowly, testing her knee. It holds. Barely. "What plan?" she asks. He rises as well, giving her space. "Tomorrow morning. I walk you out again. We talk. If you decide I'm wasting your time, I stop. And if you don't, then we take it one step at a time," he says. "Paperwork. Appointments. Things that don't look dramatic, but change outcomes." She laughs softly, humorless. "You talk like someone who thinks systems listen." He meets her gaze. They listen to persistence. And signatures. Emira leans forward, curious. "Can I walk more?" "Yes," he says without hesitation. But not alone. Laren looks at her daughter, then back at him. The rain outside hasn't eased. The day feels heavy, stretched thin. "Tomorrow," she says at last. "One walk. One talk." Jasper nods. "I'll bring coffee. For me. For you," she repeats. He steps back toward the door, retrieves his jacket, slips it on. Before leaving, he glances at Emira. 30 seconds tomorrow," he says. Standing. Emira grins. "I'll do 40. When the door closes behind him, the room feels quieter, but not empty. Laren sinks onto the mat, pulling Emira close. Her knee aches. Her thoughts race. Tomorrow feels dangerous. Tomorrow also feels like the first step where she might not have to carry everything alone. Morning breaks later after the storm. The light is dull, washed thin by clouds that haven't fully cleared. Tier 3 smells cleaner for once. Wet stone, cooling metal, faint smoke from reheated grills. Laren is awake before the corridor lights click on. Her knee aches where the skin pulled tight overnight. She rolls it gently, testing. It holds. Pain stays contained. She exhales through her nose and reaches for the kettle, filling it from the tap. The water runs rusty for a second, then clears. She sets it over the small heater. Amira stirs on the cot, hair fanned across the pillow, legs tucked close. Her eyes open slowly. He said 40. Amira murmurs, voice thick with sleep. Laren huffs a quiet breath that might be a laugh. You said 40. I meant it. I know. She moves carefully as she dresses. The amber wrap is dry now, but stiff, creased where dried wrong. She reties it higher than usual, tighter at the waist so it won't pull when she lifts. The shawl follows, folded and pinned this time. Practical. Defensive. The kettle whistles softly. She pours the water over ground furlan seed into a chipped cup, stirs, then sets it aside untouched. Her stomach tightens anyway. Footsteps sound outside the unit. Not hurried, not hesitant. A knock. Once firm, respectful. Laren feels tense. Her shoulders lift slightly before she lets them drop. She opens the door. Jasper stands in the corridor, jacket clean but worn, hair still damp from a quick rinse. A paper-wrapped bundle steams faintly in one hand. 2 metal cups hang from his fingers. Morning, he says. She steps aside without answering. Inside, he sets the bundle on the crate table and unhooks the cups. The smell hits immediately. Fresh fried flatbread, still soft, faintly oily. Meat inside, seasoned sharp and smoky. Amira sits up, eyes wide. That smells illegal. Jasper smiles at that. Technically, it is before second shift. Laren watches him closely. He doesn't look around her room the way strangers do. He doesn't comment on the mat, the narrowness, the patched walls. He keeps his movements contained, deliberate. Eat, he says, unwrapping the bread. We'll need it. For what? Laren asks. For standing up to people who don't like their routines disrupted. She takes the bread from him despite herself. It's hot. Grease slicks her fingers. She tears a piece and gives it to Amira first. Amira eats fast, chewing with purpose. Jasper sips his own coffee, then nods toward the door. Ready. Laren lifts Amira smoothly. The weight settles familiar and heavy. She nods once. They walk. The path feels different today. Damp but stable. The cracks are darker, water pooled deep inside them. Jasper moves just ahead now, not beside, watching foot placement, angling his body when carts approach too fast. Amira watches his boots carefully. You walk like you're counting, she says. I am. What are you counting? Places people trip. They reach the transit platform just as a low hum builds in the rail overhead. A car slows. It doesn't stop. Laren's jaw tightens. Wait, Jasper says. She does. He steps to the rail kiosk, taps his slate against the contact plate. The display flickers, then updates. Another car approaches. Older, dented, carrying cargo benches instead of seats. It grinds to a stop. The door hisses open. Laren stares. It never. It does when asked properly, Jasper replies. Inside, the floor is scuffed but level. Jasper helps guide Amira to a bench. 30, he says. Amira grips the rail. Her legs shake as she straightens, shoulders tight, jaw set. Laren holds her breath. 20 seconds in, Amira's knees wobble. She gasps but doesn't sit. 30 seconds pass. 40. Amira whispers fiercely. She makes it. When she sinks back down, she laughs, short, sharp, relieved. Jasper nods once. Good. At the learning center, eyes follow them again. Jasper walks straight to the intake desk, Laren one step behind. We're here for mobility access review, he says. The clerk blinks. For her. Jasper says, nodding to Amira. I'm listed as sponsor. Laren stiffens at the word. Since when? She snaps. Last night, he replies evenly. Temporary. Revocable. I filed it remotely. Her anger flares hot and fast. You didn't ask. I didn't bind you, he says quietly. I bound myself. The clerk clears her throat. Forms. Jasper slides his slate across. The clerk scans, frowns, then nods reluctantly. Assessment today, she says. Prosthetics clinic tier 2. End of cycle. Laren looks down at Amira, then back at Jasper. Her chest tightens, fear mixing with hope in an uncomfortable knot. You're moving fast, she says. Yes, he answers. Because slow hurts you. Amira squeezes her hand. Mama, it's okay. Laren closes her eyes for half a second, then opens them. Fine, she says. But we go together. Every step. Jasper meets her gaze. That was always the plan. As they turn away from the desk, the clerk watches them go with thinly disguised skepticism. Jasper doesn't look back. Outside, the air smells of damp stone and hot metal again. Laren adjusts the shawl over Amira's legs. Her heart is pounding, not from fear alone now, but from movement, from the sense that something long stuck has finally shifted. She doesn't trust it yet, but she walks forward anyway. Tier 2 feels colder the moment they arrive. The air changes as the transit car hisses open. Filtered, faintly antiseptic, carrying a metallic edge that has nothing to do with rain or dust. Laren notices it immediately. Her shoulders tense as she steps off the platform, Amira balanced on her hip, the child's fingers hooked into her shawl. Jasper walks a pace ahead now, not leading, not pulling, clearing the way. His eyes track signs, intersections, people. He moves like someone who expects resistance and plans around it. The prosthetics clinic sits behind a long corridor of pale panels and recessed lighting. No stalls, no noise. Shoes scuff softly here. Laren becomes sharply aware of her bare feet on the smooth floor, of the way her patched dress clings after the earlier damp, of how out of place she looks. A receptionist looks up. Her smile freezes for half a second when she sees Amira's legs. Appointment? The woman asks. Yes, Jasper says. He places his slate down, already unlocked. Adaptive evaluation. Juvenile. The receptionist scans the screen, frowns, then glances at Laren. Guardian status? Laren answers before Jasper can. Mother. And financial guarantor? Jasper's voice is steady. That's me. The pause stretches. Laren feels exposed. Her jaw tightens. She shifts Amira slightly to spare her aching arm. Tier 3 cases usually, the receptionist begins. Qualify under emergency mobility extension when a sponsor assumes full liability. Jasper finishes. You have the form in front of you. The woman exhales through her nose, displeased but careful. Assessment room 3. They follow a narrow hall to a door marked with worn lettering. Inside, the room is stripped down, 2 padded benches, a scanner arm folded back like a resting limb, racks of metal frames that look unfinished, waiting. Amira's breathing changes. Shallow. Fast. It smells like machines, she whispers. Laren presses her forehead briefly to her daughter's temple. They help here. A technician enters. Older. Efficient. No smile, but no disdain either. Amira, he says, reading the slate. We're going to take some measurements. You tell me if anything feels wrong. Not uncomfortable. Wrong. Amira nods, serious. Jasper steps back to the wall without being asked. He folds his arms loosely, posture open but ready. Laren lowers Amira onto the bench. Her arms shake as the weight leaves them. She rubs her forearm once, then stills her hand so Amira doesn't see. The technician removes the wraps carefully, inspecting skin, muscle tone. He murmurs notes to the slate. The scanner arm hums to life, light passing slowly over Amira's legs. Amira flinches. Laren's heart stutters. She leans forward without thinking. I'm here, she says quietly. Look at me. Amira obeys. Her eyes lock onto her mother's face. Her breathing steadies a fraction. Minutes pass. The hum stops. These will work, the technician says at last. He gestures to a slim pair of matte silver frames from the rack. Temporary set. Adjustable. You'll outgrow them. Laren swallows. Temporary? 6 months if she trains properly, the technician replies. Maybe sooner. He begins fitting the frames, fastening padded cuffs with quick, practiced movements. When he's done, Amira sits still, eyes wide, legs heavier now, grounded. Stand, he instructs. Amira looks at her mother, then at Jasper. Jasper nods once. Slow. Amira grips the bench rail and pushes. The frames lock, bearing her weight. Her knees tremble violently. Laren's breath catches. Amira makes a small sound, not pain. Shock. I'm tall, she says. She sways. Jasper steps in, one hand hovering inches from her back without touching. Balance first, he says. Height comes after. She takes one shaky step, then another. Then she collapses back onto the bench, laughing and crying at the same time. I did it, she gasps. I fell, but I did it. Laren presses both hands over her mouth. Her eyes burn. She doesn't look away. The technician begins explaining care schedules, fittings, training intervals. Laren hears pieces of it. Jasper hears all of it. He asks questions. Short, precise. Outside the clinic, the corridor feels brighter. Jasper carries the bag with the spare fittings without comment. Laren carries Amira again, lighter now. Somehow. I can walk later, Amira says, tired but glowing. Not now. Later, Laren agrees. They stop at a food counter on the return platform. Jasper orders grilled meat strips wrapped in flatbread, extra salt. He pays before Laren can speak. She stiffens. I didn't ask. I know, he says. You can pay me back. With what? With patience, he replies. And not shutting me out when it gets hard. She studies him. The words aren't smooth. They're chosen. Amira interrupts by biting into the bread, grease streaking her chin. This is the best walking day ever. Laren lets out a breath she didn't know she was holding. As they ride back down to Tier 3, the transit car rattling softly, Jasper stands with one hand braced against the rail to keep from swaying too close. He watches Amira drift towards sleep, head heavy against Laren's shoulder. He feels determined, the kind that settles in and doesn't need noise. When the doors open and the humid, dusty air rushes back in, Laren steps off carefully. The world hasn't changed, but something inside her has shifted, and it scares her almost as much as it gives her hope. Night settles over Tier 3 East without ceremony. The heat lingers in the walls, trapped from the day, mixing with the smell of damp stone and cooked grease drifting up from the lower stalls. Laren unlocks the unit and steps inside. Careful this time, her body tuned to smaller limits. Amira sleeps against her shoulder, mouth slack, exhaustion finally winning. Jasper closes the door behind them with his foot. The latch clicks softly. Inside, the room feels tighter than usual. The cot, the mat, the crate table, the heater humming low. Nothing has changed, yet everything feels crowded by what happened today. Laren lowers Amira onto the cot, slow and controlled. The child doesn't wake. Her breathing evens out quickly, one small hand curling around the edge of the blanket. The metal frames lean against the wall nearby, catching the weak light. No longer foreign, just present. Laren straightens and rolls her shoulders. Her arms tremble. Not pain now. Release. She feels overwhelmed. Her chest tightens, breath catching halfway in. She presses her palm flat against the wall until the sensation passes. Jasper watches without interrupting. He loosens his jacket and hangs on the pipe again. This time, it feels natural, permanent. You did good today, he says quietly. She doesn't answer right away. She moves to the basin, pours water over her hands, lets it run too long. When she turns, her face looks bare, no armor left in her expression. Almost walked out, she admits. When they brought the frames out, he nods. I know. Ow! The way your fingers locked, he says. You were ready to grab her and leave. Her lips press together. I don't trust clean rooms. Most people who've needed them don't. She dries her hands slowly. The amber dress pulls tight across her hips when she moves. She's suddenly aware of it, of him watching, not staring but seeing. You shouldn't get used to this, she says. Being here, helping. I don't do things halfway, he replies. That lands harder than she expects. She moves closer without deciding to. The room is warm, too warm. Her skin still remembers the clinic lights, the transit hum, the shock of seeing her daughter stand. I can't give you anything back, she says. I won't sell myself. I won't owe. I don't want payment, he says. I want partnership. She laughs softly. That's worse. Only if you think it's temporary. The words sit between them, heavy. Amira shifts in her sleep. The metal frames clink softly as one nudges the wall. Laren's gaze flicks there, then back to Jasper. If this ends badly, she says she'll feel it first. I know, he answers. That's why I'm still here. Silence stretches. It isn't empty. It's charged. Laren feels desire. It surprises her how sudden it is, how physical. Heat settles low in her abdomen. Her pulse quickens. She doesn't look away. Jasper steps closer, but stops short of touching her. His restraint sharpens the moment. Say no if you want, he says. I'll stay exactly where I am. Her breath shortens. She closes the distance herself. His hands come to her waist slowly, giving her time to pull back. She doesn't. The touch is firm, grounding. She feels the warmth of his palms through the thin fabric. She exhales shakily. I haven't in a long time. I figured, he murmurs. We can stop. She shakes her head once. Don't. He leans in. The kiss is not soft at first. It is hungry, edged with everything held back all day. Her fingers clutch his shirt, fabric bunching under her grip. His mouth moves against hers with controlled pressure, not rushed, not gentle either. When they break apart, she presses her forehead against his chest, breathing hard. I don't want her waking up scared, she says. She won't, he replies. We'll be quiet. They move together to the mat on the floor, careful steps, practice for shared living. Clothes come off in pieces. No tearing, no rush. The amber dress slides down her hips, pooling at her thighs. He helps her step out of it without words. She feels exposed but not unsafe. Jasper's touch is deliberate. He explores without claiming. Her body responds sharply, need rushing in now that permission has been given. She bites back a sound, shoulder tense. He notices immediately. Adjusts. Slows. Her hands trace the lines of old scars on his arms. She feels curiosity, not fear. You never talk about these. They're old, he says. They don't matter. They do, she replies, fingertips lingering. They show what you survived. His jaw tightens. He doesn't look away. They come together quietly. Movement is careful at first, learning. When rhythm finds them, it is steady, intense, restrained by the thin walls and the sleeping child a few feet away. Laren grips the edge of the mat to stay silent. Jasper presses his forehead to hers, breath warm, steadying. Their bodies communicate more than words could, trust building under pressure. When it ends, they stay where they are, breathing, slowing together. Jasper shifts just enough to pull the blanket over them both. He tucks it around her shoulders automatically, the same way he does for Amira. She notices. The similarity doesn't frighten her. Instead, she turns on her side, fitting against him. Her hand rests over his chest. Strong, solid. I don't want this to disappear in the morning, she says quietly. It won't, he replies. Morning doesn't scare me. She closes her eyes. The heater hums. Outside, Tier 3 keeps breathing. For the first time in years, Laren falls asleep without bracing for loss. Morning arrives quietly this time. No alarms. No sharp light. Just the low hum of the heater and the distant clatter of Tier 3 waking up. Laren wakes first. She lies still for a moment, disoriented, listening. Amira's breathing is soft and even from the cot. Outside the wall, someone drags a crate across stone. Somewhere lower, meat sizzles on a grill. Jasper is beside her on the mat, one arm loose around her waist, breath slow, unguarded. In sleep, the discipline softens. His jaw isn't clenched. His shoulders aren't braced. Seeing him like this makes her chest tighten. She feels afraid. Not of him, of how quickly her body accepted this as normal. She shifts carefully, easing out from under his arm. The mat creaks faintly. He stirs but doesn't wake. She pulls the blanket higher over his shoulder without thinking, then freezes, realizing what she's done. She exhales through her nose and stands. Her amber dress lies folded on the crate. She slips it on slowly, reties it looser than yesterday. Her body feels different, sore in places she welcomes, lighter in others. When she walks, her step feels less defensive. She kneels by Amira's cot. The child sleeps curled on her side, one hand resting near the metal frames leaning against the wall. The sight still feels unreal. Laren brushes hair from her forehead, fingertips gentle. "I didn't carry you last night," she whispers. Emira doesn't wake. Laren moves to the basin, rinses her hands, splashes water on her face. Her reflection looks sharper somehow, eyes clearer, spine straighter. She doesn't recognize herself entirely, but she doesn't look away either. Behind her, the mat shifts. Jasper sits up slowly, blinking once as he takes in the room. His eyes find her immediately. No confusion, no distance. "Morning," he says quietly. She nods. "Did I wake you?" "No." He rubs his face, then lowers his voice. "Emira's still out?" "Yes." He stands, careful not to step too close to the cot. He pulls on his trousers and shirt, movement efficient again, but not closed. He looks like someone who chose to wake up here. They share the space without speaking for a moment. The silence isn't awkward. It's weighted. She breaks it. What happens now? He considers the question seriously, not reflexively. "School, training intervals, paperwork I'll need you to sign later." "Not today. And us." He meets her eyes. "We don't rush it. We don't hide it either." That makes her throat tighten. A soft sound comes from the cot. Emira stirs, eyelids fluttering. She blinks, then looks straight at the mat. "You stayed," she says, voice still heavy with sleep. Jasper nods. "I did." Her mouth curves into a small, sleepy smile. "Good." She sits up, rubbing her eyes. "Can I stand today?" "After breakfast," Laren says immediately. Jasper agrees. Short intervals. No pride tests. Emira sighs but nods. "Fine." Breakfast is simple. Leftover meat warmed in the pan, torn flatbread soaked in grease and salt. Laren eats more than usual without realizing it. Jasper notices but doesn't comment. When they leave the unit, Jasper locks the door with a key she didn't realize he had. He sees her look. "You gave it to me last night," he says. "You don't remember?" She thinks, then nods slowly. "I must have." They walk together down Tier 3 East. This time, Jasper doesn't walk ahead or to the side. He walks with her. At the open space near the maintenance rail, they stop. Emira grips the bars. Jasper stands just close enough to catch her if she falters. Laren stays back one step, hands clenched together. Emira pushes up. Her legs tremble. She wobbles, corrects, breath sharp. 10 seconds pass. 20. She gasps. "I'm standing." "Yes," Jasper says. "You are." 30 seconds. 40. She sits down hard, laughing. "I did more than yesterday." Laren laughs too, surprised by the sound. It comes out loud, unguarded. A few people glance over. She doesn't care. At the Learning Center gate, an administrator watches them approach. His eyes flick to Jasper, then to Emira's frames. "You're early," he says stiffly. "We're consistent," Jasper replies. "That's better." Emira wheels inside on her own this time, bars tucked under her arm. She doesn't look back. Laren feels something loosen in her chest as the door closes. When they turn away together, Jasper speaks quietly. "Tier 2 want to follow up in 4 cycles. After that, longer-term fittings." "And money?" she asks. "I'm handling it," he says. She stops. "No, you said partnership." He nods. "Then we'll budget it together." The word "together" lands heavy and solid. They start walking again. As they pass the cracked stretch of Pharaoh stone where she fell days ago, Jasper slows. "You don't have to carry everything anymore," he says, not looking at her. "But you still decide what gets shared." She considers that as they move past the damage without incident. For the first time, she believes him. The sky overhead is still pale, still industrial, still indifferent. Tier 3 hasn't changed, but when she walks now, her arms feel lighter. And for the first time, she doesn't feel like she's waiting for the ground to give way. Weeks change the rhythm before they change anything else. Tier 3 East still wakes early. The air still smells of hot metal and fried meat. Transit cars still skip stops they shouldn't. But Laren's mornings no longer begin in pain. She wakes to movement beside her now, not weight on her arms. Jasper slips out of the mat before the corridor lights come on, quiet and practiced, pulling on his shirt while checking the small wall display with half an eye. He always moves like the day has already been planned. Laren sits up slowly, stretching. Her body feels different. Not lighter, but steadier. When she stands, there is no rush of strain in her shoulders. She pauses, hand resting low on her stomach, brow tightening in brief confusion before the feeling fades. Across the room, Emira is already awake. She sits on the cot, fastening the lower cuffs of her prosthetics herself, fingers careful but confident. The metal fits her now like something earned. She doesn't look up until the last clasp is secure. "I could do the whole walk today," she says. Laren smiles. "You said that yesterday too, and I did it." Jasper returns with 3 wrapped food parcels, steam bleeding through the paper. Meat and bread again. Always meat on training days. He sets them down and checks Amira's frames without being asked, tightening one adjustment half a turn. "You grew again?" he says. Emira grins. "I'm fast." They eat standing, grease on fingers, salt on lips. Laren eats until she's full this time. Nobody comments. Nobody counts portions. At the door, Jasper pauses. "I updated the registry," he says, casual but careful. "Housing addendum. Shared occupancy." Laren's breath stills for a second. "You didn't." "I told them," he says. Not asked. "I told them." She studies his face. Calm. Certain. No bravado. Just choice. "And if someone complains?" she asks. "They can," he replies. "They'll be ignored." Outside, the path opens ahead of them. Emira walks between them now, bars folded and slung across her back more often than not. Her steps aren't smooth yet. She stumbles once on uneven stone. Both adults reach out at the same time. Emira laughs. "I didn't fall." At the Learning Center gate, the administrator doesn't stop them. He nods stiffly at Jasper. Eyes slide away from Laren. Inside, Emira moves on her own. She doesn't look back. Laren stands watching longer than necessary. "She's okay," Jasper says quietly. "I know," Laren replies. "I just like seeing it." They walk back toward Tier 3 as the morning thickens. Near the market stretch, Jasper slows. "There's something we should talk about," he says. She feels tense. The sensation sharpens behind her ribs. "Now," she asks, "before you hear it another way." They stop near a low wall overlooking the rail junction. Freight traffic rattles below. The wind carries heat and grit. "I took a longer-term contract," Jasper says. "Station-based. No rotations. No reassignment off-world." Her heart beats hard. "For us." "For stability," he answers. "For Emira." And he hesitates. "Rare for him." "For you." She exhales slowly. "You didn't ask." "I'm telling you now." Her hand tightens on the wall. Emotion floods in. Fear, relief, a fierce warmth she doesn't bother suppressing. "I've never had someone stay," she says. He turns to face her fully. "I'm not visiting." She steps closer without thinking. Her palm presses flat against his chest. Solid. Steady. "Then you're part of this," she says. "All of it." "I already am." That evening, Tier 3 hosts a small maintenance shutdown. Power dips. Lights flicker. People gather near the open platforms to eat while they can. Laren, Jasper, and Emira sit together on a low step. Meat strips rest between them. Emira chews slowly, thoughtful. "Mama," she asks suddenly. "Yes. If I get really good at walking, you won't have to carry me again, right?" The question lands hard and quiet. Laren feels tightness swell behind her eyes. She keeps her voice steady. "That's right." Emira nods, satisfied. Then softer, "But you still can." "Sometimes." Laren smiles fully then, pulling her daughter into her side. "Always." Later, back in the unit, the heat presses close. Jasper cleans up while Laren helps Emira out of her frames. Metal leans against the wall like it belongs there now. Emira climbs into the cot without help. Before sleep takes her, she looks at both adults. "I like it when you're both here," she says. It feels finished. The word settles deep in Laren's chest. When the lights dim and the heater hums low, Laren lies awake longer than usual. Her hand drifts again to her stomach. This time the feeling doesn't fade. It's subtle, a heaviness, a warmth. She turns her head slightly. "Jasper," she whispers. He's awake instantly. "What is it?" She takes his hand and places it where hers rests. He stills, then exhales slowly. His mouth curves into something quiet and astonished. So that's what it is. She nods, breath shaky but smiling. I think so. He presses his forehead to hers. No rush, no fear. That's good, he says. Outside, Tier 3 carries on. Transit lines hum. Vendors close stalls. Life remains imperfect and real. Inside the small unit, Laren sleeps between a man who chose her openly and a child who no longer has to be carried because she has no other option. Tomorrow will still demand effort, but the future is no longer something she braces for. It's something they're building step by step together. The corridor lights switch on just as Amira tightens the last strap herself. She stands in the center of the unit, balanced and steady, metal feet planted flat on the floor. Her tunic hangs loose at the shoulders, brushed clean and mended at the hem. The frames catch the light faintly when she shifts her weight, no longer loud, no longer fragile. I'm ready, she says. Laren looks up from the crate table, fingers still resting on a folded cloth. She feels a flicker of worry, quick and sharp. It passes when she sees Amira's posture. Chin lifted, shoulders square, eyes focused. You know the route, Laren says. I know, Amira replies. Left at the meat stall, right at the broken light. Don't run on the ramp. Jasper stands near the door, arms crossed loosely. He watches without intervening. You check the ground before stepping, he adds. Amira nods. Always. She reaches for the door latch on her own. Laren feels tension spread through her chest. Her hands curl once at her sides before she stills them. She does not move. The door opens. Morning air slips inside. Warm, familiar, carrying fried meat and metal dust. Amira turns back once. I'll be back before second light. Laren answers evenly. I'll be here. The door closes. The sound lands hard in the room. Final. Clean. Laren exhales slowly, shoulders dropping. Her body waits for the weight that doesn't come. The ache never arrives. Jasper watches her closely. You okay? He asks. She nods, eyes still on the door. I hate how quiet it is. You'll get used to it, he says. Or you won't. Either way, it's allowed. They don't follow. They don't watch from the window. They let Amira go. Outside, Amira walks with measured steps. The path is busy but manageable. A vendor nods at her as she passes. Someone steps aside without being asked. Her shadow moves cleanly over the cracked stone. At the ramp near the learning center, she slows, adjusts, then continues. No stumble, no hesitation. Inside the gate, she joins the others without help. When the door closes behind her, she doesn't look back. Laren cleans the unit while Jasper recalibrates one of the spare frame joints. Domestic noise fills the space. Water in the basin, cloth against metal, tools clicking softly. At midday, Laren pauses, hand resting low on her stomach again. The sensation is unmistakable now. She smiles to herself without speaking. That afternoon, they hear footsteps in the corridor. Fast, light, confident. The door opens before Laren reaches it. Amira steps inside, cheeks flushed, eyes bright. I walked the whole way, she announces. Both ways. Laren moves before thinking, crouching, pulling her daughter into her arms. Amira hugs back just as tight. I wasn't scared, Amira adds quietly, as if admitting a secret. Not even once. Jasper watches them with a calm satisfaction that runs deep and silent. That evening, they eat together, meat strips, bread torn by hand, laughter easy. Amira talks about school, about a friend who tried to race her and lost. Later, when night settles and the heater hums low, Amira sleeps quickly, exhausted but content. Laren and Jasper sit side by side on the mat, backs against the wall. She doesn't need to be carried anymore, Laren says. Jasper nods. She doesn't. Laren leans into him, her head fitting naturally against his shoulder. But she'll always come back, she adds. He wraps an arm around her, firm and sure. That's the part that matters. Outside, Tier 3 breathes as it always has. Inside, a family rests, complete, steady, and unafraid to let the future walk on its own feet.